Hello, I'm alive. Dropping the tones. Hello, everyone. This is your friend Carlz talking about comics uh, by the best or as the best of my abilities allow me. After 2 weeks without basically no voice, now I have some voice, but I'm gonna thread lightly. For some reason, I can't use that many high tones. I need to speak low, like not low in volume. I think that's really bad for the vocal cords, but low in tone perhaps. So basically, I really need it. I really needed to go back to talking somehow. So take this episode with a little bit of like a grain of sand. I still have some tea. I'm like I just needed to come back, even though you can probably hear that I'm not 100%. I haven't done that much either. Like, I haven't watched Supergirl, but I really wanted to make a comment about how the current state of superhero entertainment is really annoying. I've been beyond frustrated with how Supergirl has become this. I don't know. How do these stories, about heroes and fantasy become the target of some sort of a maelstrom of commentary that I think goes nowhere? There are, of course, undertones of sexism and overall free hate towards a movie like this. But at the same time, criticism wise, critics wise, right? Because it belongs to the critics. It hasn't done that well either. So as I said, you end up with all of this combination of shit that gives the movie this. I want to say personality, but it's not a personality. It's like this surrounding mist, like this surrounding mystery, if you can say, in that can brand a movie forever. It takes years to get rid of a really strong, either just unjustly gained, how do you say, no, it's not repertoire. But basically, you know what I'm saying. Like, if your movie has been branded as something questionable, something controversial, it takes a lot of years for a movie to take that out of them. And by now, I say this as someone who hasn't seen it. So I haven't seen it, and I'm like, already it's impossible to me to go to that movie without any bias. And I think that is what I hate the most. The rhythm by which these things move nowadays is annoying. Especially like if you don't have the time or the money to just go and watch every latest movie. You know? Hell, now we're even at that stage where the movie makers have come out to either defend or explain their movie. Like today, I read a headline that said that the writer of Supergirl didn't. No, it wasn't that she didn't read the comic. It was that she didn't get the ending of the comic for some reason. I don't know, man. It gets crazy. I think the best thing you can say and do is like just go watch it by yourself and get your own opinions. But at the same time, man, it's hard. But anyways, and another quick comic news. This one is weird. I think I have mixed feelings about it. DC announced a bunch of new animated series, and okay, they're all good. I mean, I think I will watch Batman's Nightfall. I haven't read the comic in a long time, but I used to love Azrael's Batman suit when I was a kid. It looked like a robot. But anyways, one of the animated, I don't is it a movie or a series? I think it's a series. It's gonna be Absolute Batman, and a lot of people were excited about it, but I'm a little bit more cautious. I think it's too soon. Even though I've loved everything about Absolute Batman to this day, I think it's like a rolling wheel. It's not like, okay, I'm gonna show you this story arc for this character, middle, beginning, and end. Like Nightfall, like Hush, like all of these Batman adaptations they've done. You can't really do that with Absolute Batman. You know, Even though you can say that the first story arc of the book was until the end of the Bane thing, right? I don't want to spoil it, but the whole Bane story arc, which is half done, it had a clear end, but of course it has potential to keep going. I don't know how they're gonna do it. Plus, I don't know if they're gonna capture the art of Absolute Batman in animated form. We'll see. I'm cautious, but I think it's more a commercial thing than a creative thing. Like, this is the property that is giving us the most cash. Let's milk it right now. We need to milk it, and that's why they're doing it. But as most books work, they stay there, right? They remain there as books, and Absolute Batman remains an absolute bliss. So, for the sake of not straining my voice, this is just a warm up. Let's go to this week's comics. I have mostly a couple of, mostly like reviews, you could say. So my first recommendation is Brian Azzarello's 100 Bullets. This is a series that I never got into. To me, Azzarello is it's a mixed bag. Like, I knew of him and I liked what he did when he wrote Hellblazer, of course, as many of them did. It's my favorite comic book. But sometimes he goes into this position of being controversial just because. And I don't know anything about 100 Bullets, but the whole plot, I'm familiar with the big plot, right, of a book about violence and vengeance, and how it always sort of contrasts with one topic. And that is why I'm recommending this one, The US of Anger. According to the release, it's gonna be related to the current states of the US, which I think is a really interesting concept. Because right now in the US, you have pretty, like, understandably angered people. There's a lot of anger. Well, that country is always full of anger. But let's see if DC continues through 100 Bullets. Basically the high ceiling they've been putting out as a mainstream outlet for social criticism for the US. They have really been doing that, and it's not only the infamous or famous and great Absolute Batman annual. Like, they have been really pushing in the social commentary in their books, which is great. So it's pretty exciting to see a book about anger and about violence and about vengeance, but about the state of a country. Let's hope Azzarello does one of his good things, his good stories. We'll see. And of course, I remember saying that I was going to talk about all the Vertigo books. I don't know if I comply to my own standards, but I've certainly tried. Next. This is a commentary on Amazing Spider-Man 31 is more than 32. So we finally got the big Spider-Man thing with the reveal of Aunt May's son. I don't know. I already forgot his name. Like Johnny Carmack. It's like a double C sound. It's like Carman Cole, Kerry Colligan. I don't know. But here's the thing. I remember mentioning that it was clearly a setup, which it is, because in Amazing Spider-Man 31 we didn't really learn anything about the character. But here's what I have to say. I know comic books are a flexible medium, and especially Marvel and DC, they they always keep changing and making stuff up. And the thing about this new son for Aunt May was that I wasn't really aware um, of exactly what were the conditions of Aunt May before Peter. What I mean by this is that many of the revelations they did during this issue were about her incapacity to procreate, like what else they said, that they really tried to have offspring with Uncle Ben. And do I remember any of that? Was I aware of any of that? To be honest, I wasn't. I really wasn't, and I don't think it was relevant, which allowed Amazing Spider-Man 31 to just make shit up. And I know it's comic, I know it's fiction, but I can say that as a criticism, it sounds made up as fuck. Like, I don't know. Like, here I have a son, okay, you know, it didn't felt organic. It felt like we are creating a new conflict for Spider-Man, and we're taking it like to the strongest kind of like expression possible. But it felt a little bit like emotional manipulation, which in a sense is part of most of Spider-Man's narratives, if we're being honest. So it was just a setup. It's just the beginning of the setup. We'll see what comes after. But by now, I'm like, yeah, this is a little bit manipulative. But we'll see. In Amazing Spider-Man 32, Spidey's going to a tournament run by Tombstone where you can get shit if you defeat another guy. I don't know. Like, your all of your thoughts are on the son of on May, and what the hell does that mean? So everything is like, I don't care. you know. Next, in Challenges of Doom, there's two things that I want to mention. One, it's like, what's going on with Doctor Doom, man? I think, are we halfway through? Yeah, we are, right? July, August, we're halfway through of the year, and perhaps this is the year of Doctor Doom. I think we can call it. This is the year of Doctor Doom, because we have the event, then we have the follow up in the Catacombs of Doom, and now we have more stories about Doom. We have that Doom 2099. There's been so much Doctor Doom, and of course, we gotta say it. Is it related to the fucking movie? You know, probably is. It probably is related to the fucking movie, and even though I like many of the stories they've come up with this year, I'm like, when is it enough? The good thing about this series in particular, it seems that they are using this sort of year of doom to bring back some context, some stories for many of Doctor Doom's previous stories. In this one, they are talking about his relationship with Reed Richards, which is as prolific as, I don't know, the ocean. I don't know. I don't know any saying about that. But they are the fiercest enemies since forever. Like, where did that begin? How did it begin? Everything will be greatly welcome in that sense. But at the same time, come on, man, enough Doctor Doom already. they they could have at least hit it somehow, you know. Even though in the biggest Avengers event going on right now, we just had Armageddon issue number 1 last week, I think. Even though the Red Hulk is the main guy in there, this has been the year of Doom. There's no doubt about it. Next. You know, I've always mentioned how I feel attracted to some books because of the most random things. There are a couple of feelings that I get with Fantastic Four issue 13. One is that the premise is so funny that Johnny Storm is gonna pretend he is the Ghost Rider by making Sue make his face invisible. What? That shit is so fucking random. And lately, I mean, I've talked about it before. The current Fantastic Four book is just single stories, right? There's just been loose single stories about the family, about having certain adventures. And that is the second thing that I want to say about it. I really wish they made something bigger. I really wish they made a bigger Fantastic Four storyline. Because, to be honest, these single stories are cool and all, but I'm craving something more. I'm craving a more complex and more thorough story for the Fantastic Four. When they teach the New Future Foundation, I thought that we were going to rely on that. I thought Franklin and Valeria, how do you pronounce that shit? Valeria, right? This sounds so fucking stupid. Valeria. But anyways, I thought they were going to go back into it. But we're still going into these single one-time use stories. And even if the premise of it is funny, as I'm saying for this one, and that's why I'm recommending it, I don't know, man. I'm hoping for a better, more complex story from them. Perhaps after Armageddon. What was it? No, I for some reason I thought one of the Fantastic Four was going to be in the new lineup, but that is Captain Marvel, Wolverine, I think Luke Cage. I don't remember. Let's talk about Avengers when the time comes. Next. So this is my book of the week. The ending of Absolute Martian Manhunter. One of the most interesting Absolute series out there. One of the more like self-contained, and one of the more weird, because it had some delays in between. The whole process of it was a little bit interrupted. I remember the creators talking about their creative independence to this book, and now that it's ending, it's a good time as any to make a review of it, a short review, because I'm already running out of voice. I think Martian Manhunter proved that you could still do creative things with heroes and not strain too far from the origin. And that is the balance that most of the Absolute series have cracked in a way. You know, in a really interesting, deep way. And like, if you see it on the surface, Absolute Martian Manhunter really doesn't have almost anything to do with John Jones and the Martian stories we've heard in the main DC universe. And that is one of the, that is the Prime universe, right? And that is something that to me has been really curious, because I didn't really notice throughout Martian Manhunter, Absolute Martian Manhunter, how different it was. So now it's ending, And now you come to the question, how do we connect it to the original? How did it capture the spirit of the original? And for that answer, you go all the way back to the beginning and to the fact, or like to the mental process by which John Jones became a detective. You know, and why did this Martian, which is sort of like really psychedelic, imaginary in ways, is completely different. It's not like a character. It's feelings, emotions, and the fucked up mind of John Jones. I think it's called John here too, right? The human part of him. But you go all the way back to the beginning to find the connection between the absolute version and the common version. And it's the fact that the Martian chooses to be a detective. You know? But the greatness of Absolute Martian Manhunter wasn't only how it was connected to the original, the reinterpretation. To me, the great thing about Martian Manhunter, the absolute version, was that it was allowed to be its own thing. You could basically take all of the DC related mention in this book, and it would have made a great creator-owned image comic called I don't know, the psychedelic detective or psycho mantis. Because it is. It's not about heroes. There's nothing super about it. It's just this one straight beginning to end delirium by a character. And of course, I haven't read the last issue, but it's already making the rounds because allegedly it's going to have ties to the rest of the Absolute Universe by the end, which hasn't happened at all throughout the series. So we'll see how this Absolute Martian Manhunter sort of comes down to a character that could be possible to take into another directions. How do you make this basically fever dream into a character that you can use for a future Justice League, for tell more stories? That is where you will need the most creative outlet from these writers and these creators. Because as it stands right now, Absolute Martian Manhunter, as I've said plenty times, it's just this isolated delirium of a person, which I have no idea how to translate into a superhero, into a continuous ongoing story. Absolute Martian Manhunter is more like the Spectre than the Martian Manhunter in this way. But it was a hell of a ride, and the art, of course, has been awesome. I think it's by far the best thing about this series. How they allowed it to get this creative, this original, this entertaining. Dennis Camp and Javier Rodriguez, they just killed it with it. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it evolves. But by now, let's say goodbye to just one more of an amazing line of absolute titles by which DC, to me, has won 2026. The Absolute Initiative, I'm not gonna run out of praises anytime soon. When is Marvel's coming out? Nightline, Nightmare, Midnight. I think it's Midnight. I don't know. Next, last, and but not least, I think I talked a little bit about the ending of the previous story arc, or the first Iron Man story arc by Joshua Williamson, the current book. And in Iron Man number 7, there's this this questionable element about Tony Stark that was kind of like the lingering ghost throughout the first story arc, that they are keeping an eye on Tony Stark because he's going off rails, and like we need to look out for him, like he's going and it really wasn't clear what were they talking about. You can have some ideas and you can create some kind of like preconceived notions of what exactly were they talking about. Why is Tony Stark a danger right now? He created a new sort of organization for all his proteges, if you want to call it like that. But now it was super funny to, um, because this one is called The Return of War Machine. And you know why that's funny? Because where was he? What do you mean the return of War Machine? Did he leave? We saw him on the West Coast Avengers run. He was there. What do you mean the return of War Machine? He never left. And here's one thing that I want to say. It's weird that they give new armors to Iron Man so often, but they rarely update War Machine anymore. And like, come on, man, wasn't War Machine supposed to be like a more badass, more strong, whatever version of Iron Man? What is his purpose now? As an armored hero. I think it's even worth criticizing by now how really abandoned as a character War Machine Rhodey is. And I've mentioned before how I always love when Iron Man stories are related to the armor. I don't think they have done that with War Machine in forever. Will they do that now, somehow, in this new story arc? I have no idea. But it's worth mentioning that, okay, the return of War Machine. Does that mean he's gonna do something important? I don't know. Overall, the current Iron Man run has been mostly fun, and it has that thriller element of this thing the rest of the heroes are looking for in Tony Stark, and if they're sending Rhodey to like check on him. That cover is pretty cool as well. But overall, I don't have high hopes. When was the last time War Machine was kind of like a big deal? As War Machine, not as Iron Man's replacement or as a member of a team. Just as War Machine. I have no idea. It mustn't been like a long fucking time. But anyways, I already went beyond what I wanted to go. It's been fun talking again, even if it's I don't know which would be my percentage of voice right now. Certainly over 50, nowhere close to 90, 70% of my voice, maybe. Regardless, I really want to come back and talk more about Armageddon when I finally reach the state. And there's a couple of image series that I also have been enjoying, and I'm looking for a new issue of them to comment them further. But for now, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna be thankful for having some semblance of my voice back. Thankful to anyone who happens to listen. I hope you get to read all of your picks. I don't know. Hope for the best. And I will certainly be talking about Supergirl when I manage to see the movie. But until then, take care. Watch out for your voice, because you never know when you're gonna lose it, like me. Take care. Bye bye.